Man, this song, as I talk about, we need the Lord to lead us and to direct us. Alright, so the song says, where He may lead me, I will go. His divine will lead to me. Was it hallowed my blood? Jesus shall lead night and day. Onward I go, nor doubt nor fear. Happy with Christ, my Savior. Trust in that someday I shall see. Sure, my friend, Jesus shall blessing to me, and I hope it was to you, and truly it's a sentiment of my heart that Jesus will lead me night and day, and Jesus will lead me all the way. He's the truest friend to me. I remember Calvary. You know, sometimes we don't remember the things that God has done, right? And we need to remember, the things that God has done. Amen. Okay, so we need to remember the things that God has done. Last week, we were talking about marriage, and last week we said, don't destroy your marriage. This week we're talking about something that has destroyed marriages over and over again. And excuse me. Let me see if I find this thing here. Something that has destroyed marriages over and over again. And let me see here now. Right. We've spoken about infidelity in marriage, we've spoken about adultery in marriage. And there are lots of things that we need to consider, because some of the things that we are, as I said, you're doing innocent. As I said, generally speaking, when your spouse might say, I don't like how you're talking with that lady, or I don't like the story you've been talking about so-and-so. I don't like that. People would just say, well, it's nothing. But that's how sin comes about. That's how destruction comes about. That's how the devil works, right? Okay, you say, look, it's nothing. But then by the time when it becomes something, you find yourself tied up in a thing that you can't get back out of it. Okay? One of the things we need to understand is that it's about honesty. If you're an honest person, you cannot do things honestly, right? And not because you speak the truth, that means you are a truthful person. I've heard people say that even the devil taught the truth sometimes, right? Right. So what is the truth? Because he said, is this thing black? He said, yes, it is black. Okay? Well, that's the truth. But it doesn't mean you're a truthful person. The Bible tells you, David said, Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He said, the one who speaketh the truth in his heart. Psalm chapter 15. Now sometimes you get deceived or get messed up in marriage because sometimes you are really honest, but the person you're dealing with is not honest. The person, what did I say about that? Hold on. What did I say about that in my thing? Let me see if I can find it, which one. My God. Okay, I said about being honest, right? Now, sometimes I said my problem is that sometimes I'm too trusting. I believe that you're honest because my heart is honest, right? And so I believe that you're honest because I'm honest, right? And I mean, it's a good position to be, but in life it doesn't always work out that way. Like life has proven that to me. I said when I was young and I was working my job, sometimes people would tell me some things, and then afterward I remember like Carlton, he said to me like, so David, did you believe what I was saying? I said, well, why shouldn't I believe what he said? He said, no, David, that goes like that, man. I didn't, nothing goes like that. I just made up that. And I'm saying like, so, but why would you just make up a story like that? That sounds so convincing, right? And to him it was just a matter of fun. Now I don't do things like that. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, well, people wouldn't do things like that, to make up things and tell you things that are so convincing that you believe it to be true, and then it was really a lie. Okay? So you tend to look at people the way how you are, right? You find sometimes some people, they don't trust other people just because they themselves can't be trusted. You got it? Figure? They themselves can't be trusted. You know, I was giving out some tracts. I was giving out some tracts one day and on the street, and I met this guy, and as soon as I saw him, he didn't even, he just asked me, said like, so where's your church? And he took the thing and he said, okay, I'll come to your church. And he was gone, right? And I was talking to a friend about it, and he said to me like, he told me, he said, the guy's not going to come to your church. He said, the guy just did that to just try to get rid of you. I said, wow, really? I didn't realize that. But when I get to realize this person who I had as a friend, he was also a tricky person. So he could tell that this person was tricking me because he knows the tricks of the trade. If you get what I'm trying to say to you. An honest person thinks honesty. I'm not saying you must use wisdom, but an honest person thinks honesty. You need honesty in any relationship, right? In any relationship. And in any marriage, things that where you're doing things together. Now, last week, I need to go back to that script I had there, something about it, because I was saying that and I asked a question about, said, what about if somebody on the job compromises your marriage? Should you spend after work hours hanging out with co-workers and friends, right? Okay, and what amount of your day do you devote to your spouse, right? Because these are some of the things that I've seen. People staying after work. Okay, so why you came home so late? Or why you coming this hour? Well, you know, I was at work. I had some extra work. I remember one day I was working and this guy was my supervisor. We finished working early that day, and he said to me, he said, oh no, I can't go home now this time. Because if I go home this time, my wife's gonna be saying like, when I don't come home early, another time she's gonna be asking me like, so why you come home so late? Right? So he said he still had to stay out late so he could get his extra time to stay out late. Because he can't give her the impression that he can come home earlier. Now, it's not deceitful. That's not being honest, right? So he wants her to get the impression that he's always at work late, he always has this extra assignment, and he always has this to do, but in truth and in fact, he's really trying to stay away from her. Right? So sometimes you people talk about, I love you and whatever, I think, I love you, but I'm trying to stay away from you. Is that a nice way, really? Showing that you love somebody? Right? I'm trying to stay away from you. I've heard men say that, well, you know, man, you know, I really didn't even have to working, but I can't stay in the house with my wife. I mean, she got me there telling me, do this, do that, but I need to get out of the house. So, you know, so that's why I have this job, because really, so I can get out of the house. Right? Yeah, for real. Yes, men do say that, right? What am I going to do, so and so, because I'm going to be at home and my wife is going to be like, you know, I remember going to work one day and this guy looks at me and he says to me, he's much older than I am, and he said to me, David, why you have a smile on your face? Why you look so happy? Why you look so happy? I know you live with a wife, so you can't be happy. I mean, this dude was stupid. You know what I'm saying? His thing was that, I know you're married and you live with a wife, so how are you coming looking so happy? You're supposed to be grumpy. I mean, because your wife's supposed to be giving you, driving you up the wall at home. Well, even if sometimes you might be having that at home, or maybe you're having problems at home, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, you know, your spirit, who you are, will show. Okay, as I said, if you're an honest person, you're a good person in your character, right? Sometimes people try to break it, but by the grace of God, you'll be able to maintain who you are. And you might suffer many things, right? Now, I'm saying here, where was I on this thing? You said, so if you shouldn't compromise your mind by doing those things, staying out or working late, then you come home acting as if to say you were really at work, when you really weren't working, you're just hanging out with your friends or just trying to came out, trying to stay away from home. Right? Oh, I don't want to be at home so early, right? Yeah, men, do it. Yeah, they do it, okay? And as I said last week, when you were dating that woman, you couldn't spend enough time on the phone. As the phone rang, if you didn't see her number, then maybe you didn't even want to answer the phone. Now when she calls, you see her number, you say, let me get the voicemail, let her leave a message, because I want her to think that I'm busy, right? And in truth, in fact, you're not busy. When you get the call from somebody who's compromised your mind, then you answer the phone, right? And sometimes you're taking those calls even right in the house where she is, right? So I said you must seek after sound marriage, understanding that we'll have to give account to the bridegroom, we'll have to give account to God. Okay, now last week I spoke about wives who are pastors' wives, how they are made a laughing stock of. Right? I don't want to tell a story about the person spoke about that it was supposed to be a rooster, but the person used the word cock. Right? I don't want to talk about the story. If you have heard it, you have heard it. So I don't want to talk about it. But the point of the matter is this, that this is what so many pastors try to do. You know, they take advantage of the woman that they have under their pastorship. Okay? And these women have been having relationship with the pastor. And the wife is there, she actually just suck it up. And just grin and bear it like, I mean, she's the first lady. First lady of what? Well, I guess, in a sense, she is the first lady. And then there are several ladies under her. Okay? So in that sense, she's the first lady. She's the first one, at least she's the one who's seen first in the morning. And then there are others. These women are constantly being ridiculed and made fun of. They might not really come in front of you and say, well, you're made fun of because in truth and in fact you think you have a husband, but you don't. Okay? You don't. Right? And so, this is one of the things that happens a lot in churches, you know. As we see the day approaching and the time is coming, I've been thinking about these things. I was listening to a sermon I preached here many years ago, and I'm telling you, there's been a lot of strife and fuss and all this in churches and the things which I have. But right now it's coming down to the nitty-gritty, right, to the rock bottom, okay? For what we have done, if we have labored earnestly for God, then we're going to have a sure reward. But if we have been playing games, right, surely we'll end up in hell, okay? Which is what has been generally been happening. Right? You find ministers today, there is hardly one of them who is not even a Mason, dabbling in the occult, right? And, okay, messing in things with adultery, right? Things which are unfaithfulness to their wives, and the wife is just like a sham. I'm saying, or they might say, well, take a picture of your wife, just like the politician, you know, show that you're a family man. But in truth and in fact, when you finish taking a picture, you go and you split, you go your separate ways, right? The whole thing is a sham. But God, thou God seest me, the coming of the bridegroom is at hand, and the bride must be ready and waiting, clothed in a wedding garment. Now we'll have, okay, so, and as I said before, that many people are talking about children, and they said, well, you know, after they do all their mess. They want to say they're trying to save their marriage. They said, I'm saving the marriage for my children. But I'm saying, if you really want your children, if you want your children to be saved, then you don't do things. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Why is it you don't go out in the traffic and you see traffic coming and you say, well, you know, that man is driving a Mercedes Benz. That Mercedes Benz is well equipped, and I know it must have very good brakes in it, and it must have, you know, it's a very well made car, an expensive car. You could be driving a Jaguar or whatever, right? Why don't you just go out and stand in front of the vehicle you see coming and say, well, I know the man has good brakes. He will stop for me. You're not going to do that. Right? It doesn't, you don't care what kind of vehicle it is. Right? You're not going to do that. Because you know you're running a risk of being killed by the vehicle. Right? Because the brakes might fail and the person might not even brake. You see some people, they drive on the road, their sense of intuition is ridiculous. They're so slow at catching things. You know what I'm saying? A vehicle is coming out a street and you see it and you're supposed to know, well, it's possible that person might pull out in front of you. If you're a good driver, you know that. It's possible. So make preparation for it. Right? And people just drive like, oh, boom, boom, psh, psh, crash. You know what I'm trying to say to you? But I'm just saying to you that if you know that that is possible, right? If you know that cheating on your spouse, right, is going to crash your marriage, and your children will be at this disadvantage, and they really mean that much to you, you're not going to do it. But as I say, it goes back to where your heart is. If you have an honest heart. Because you cannot make somebody to be honest. You cannot threaten a man and make him be honest. You see what I'm saying? You can't threaten me and say, well, you know, I'm leaving these things here with you, and I'm warning you, you better, well, I don't. If the man is a thief, he's going to be a thief. Because even before you say that to him, he said to you, yes sir, yes sir. He's already thinking out a way how he can steal some of the goods. Because he's a crook. Right? And if he does, he set up something, because that's how he thinks. Right? That's how he thinks. So in marriage, there's a lot of deceit from the altar and before the altar. Even and through the marriage. And I said the altar, actually from before the wedding ceremony. Right? I said, okay, I'm going to this marriage and I intend to get this out of it, I intend to get that out of it. And after it run off maybe 5 years, I'm going to quit. I'm not interested anymore. Right? Maybe 3 years, maybe a year. Okay? But you don't know that a person is thinking like that. You're thinking that, okay, until death do us part, then after a year you might be wishing you to die. Okay? I might even do something to destroy you, right? So anyway, let me go to last night's blog, but I wrote about, well, okay. Well, I spoke about honesty in our marriage. You said, okay, you'll be honest if your heart is honest. Now, if the woman says, I love you, and I'm saying a woman because that's my opposite sex, right? I love you, okay? Her spirit could still be in bondage and she's not at liberty to marry you, right? Now maybe it's because of her family tree. It could be a previous relationship, right? And there's a lot of witchcraft going on which ties up people's souls and their spirits. Let me go to Ephesians chapter 6, which you might know that scripture very well. Paul said, he said, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. It said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. That's verse 12. Against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole arm of God, that he may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. And these things that have to do with the occult, that have to do with witchcraft and all these things. These things are coming out of the closet, right? Some of these things have been hidden, but they are coming out now. And even some of the people who are talking about it, they themselves are in it, right? And that's the reason why they know so much about it. And they're talking almost like they're trying to educate you, but they're using it as a way of getting your attention, okay? And then, in truth and in fact, they are tied up in it themselves. It's just a trick of the devil, I mean, which doesn't make any sense. Because you know the whole scheme that the devil has of trying to rule this world, for us who are children of God, we know it doesn't even make any sense. Because the devil is defeated before he even started, right? The devil is defeated before he even started, and he knows that. But he's still fighting, okay? He's still fighting and losing battle. And all his strategy and everything that the devil implies, he knows that God can confound it in a moment, right? Because God, the ruler of this, Almighty, the ruler of this world. So I'm saying to you, so these things happen. For example, somebody's talking about I love you, right? And in truth and in fact, their soul, their spirit is tied up, right? Sometimes it's because of where in your family. These are some of the things that might have happened before you were even born, you know? There is a sister told me one time, she told me that before she was born, it's her grandmother, I think it was her grandmother died, right? And the grandmother told her mother that when this child is born, name the child after me. Her mother said to herself, well, why should I name my child after you? I mean, I have a name for my child already. I mean, I'm not naming my child after you, Mama. I mean, and to make matters worse, Mama was now dead. She figured, well, she could just name her after the way she wanted. She just named her a name, her name she wanted. And all manner of evil took the baby, terrorized the baby. And when she spoke about that thing, I didn't know I would live to see something similar to it. And this is from way back in the 80s I'm talking about, you know. Because I met this sister at church, and I just cut a long story short, but she and I became really good friends. And when she talked about this thing, I was shocked. She said to me that, this is why she said, when they come and find her, she's in an ant's nest, and the little baby, all manner of evil things were happening to her. And you know how the thing stopped? She said when her mother decided to change her name to the name of her dead grandmother. And after that, the baby was fine. Now these kind of things, I didn't know I would live to see similar things like that. And sometimes you hear people telling you these things and you're in awe, and I'm saying, so what? When she said to me, so what? She said that this name that you have now was not the name your mother gave you. She said, well, you know, sometimes you hear people call me the other name, but this is my official name. That's the name I'm using now. But the other name you see people call me, my pet name is that name my mother wanted me to have. But if she made that name stick on me, and if she didn't change that name, maybe she wouldn't live to be a woman. Alright? So that's it. Okay. So what kind of thing is that? Right? What kind of thing is that? Sometimes the people in their family, right,